All right, it was an action-packed weekend for the Ark franchise, and I was not around to witness any of it, as I already had plans. But as I've been going back and checking in on everything that was revealed, we may have just seen the unceremonious end to Ark II, which I'll explain. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and as part of this weekend's Extra Life charity event, Studio Wildcard revealed quite a bit about the future of Ark through concept art, a new roadmap, and developer interviews, one of which had some interesting things to say about Ark II. Thanks again for your continued support for my Ark News uploads. In case you haven't done so already, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are of course greatly appreciated. Chapters are in place for this one, and let's dive right in. Starting this thing off, let's grab a quick look at the highlights from this weekend's event, starting off with the reveals, which, for anyone that's not familiar with the Extra Life event, Studio Wildcard puts on their own production, and they will slowly reveal concept art and other items during their live stream, kind of like the previews when you go to see a movie. Now, since the Winter Wonderland community event is rapidly approaching, we got a first glimpse at this Krampus skin, which is wild looking for sure, and then for a little further down the line, the Facilisukis for Scorched Earth, the next canon map to arrive for Ark Survival Ascended. Now, the last time we saw this beast was back on June the 16th in a Community Crunch dossier. And for the most part, it seems to have retained its original concept look, at least for now. There was a ton of discussion created when Wildcard revealed new paid content. And for sure, monetization is a touchy subject, especially into a game still labeled as early access, following their previous methods of releasing DLC into Ark Survival Evolved when it too was in early access. Now, during the live stream, Jeremey Stieglitz announced that each map will now also have a parallel adventure pack for sale containing things like skins, along with items that are tailored to the map that they are attached to. For instance, with Scorched Earth, we've got this Frontier Adventure Pack, which kind of follows in line with Scorched Earth and the lore story of John Dekea and the city of Nasti. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but John Dekea is basically John Marston from Red Dead, just transposed into Ark Survival Evolved. So the Adventure Pack, looking like cowboys, fits the Scorched Earth lore pretty well. Within this Frontier Pack are items like shovels, dynamite, structure skins, wagons, and even trains, along with a new creature. And here's where you can see some serious issues, as cosmetic items are one thing, but when you add in what is potentially strong items, especially for PvP, like dynamite, and say a new creature, and then you apply those power differentials across each of these packs, across the 11 maps, and by the time this is all over and done with, there could again potentially be a huge difference between those that have and those that have not. And for those of you out there wondering, why skins? Why paid packs? Why now? Well, keep that in your mind, because we're going to return to that subject in just a second. Because the final big reveal for Ark Survival Ascended was this updated roadmap. And again, as you look it over, remember who published it? Wildcard. And so I would say that many of these are not going to happen in the month shown on the infographic. First things first. Scorched Earth was originally slated for a release date of December. It's now pushed back to March 2024, and you can see everything else has subsequently been delayed as well. Remember that Ark Survival Ascended was originally set to leave early access in late 2024 once all the content had finished its next generation remastering, but here it is clearly pushing well into 2025, with more canon expansions to follow after that. But for now, expect Survival of the Fittest and Cryopods as the next additions to Survival Ascended this month, December, with server transfers still up in the air as undecided by the Studio Wildcard dev team. But the big news story here that really hasn't seen much traction, probably because it is inferred and not openly stated, is that from all indications and clues, it looks like Ark II has been canned. And you may not have been looking forward to seeing Vin Diesel in Ark. Who knows? Maybe you were. But besides this announcement, this could also have lasting effects for the Ark franchise as a whole, now and into the future. I'm going to be jumping around quite a bit here, but trust me, all of this is important for context, and we need to start off with Ark Survival Ascended itself. And remember, I speculated in previous Ark uploads that ASA was nothing more than a crowdfunding effort by Snail and Wildcard in order to pocket enough cash so that they could pay for the development of Ark II. Essentially, that Ark II was always the end goal here in the story, and ASA was just the means to the end. This was finally confirmed in a community crunch back in late September, where it was openly admitted that since Ark Survival Evolved was no longer releasing paid expansions, Studio Wildcard found generating revenue difficult, and this was detrimental to their long-term survival. Also, leading up to Ark Survival Ascended's launch, we all know about how Snail Games mortgaged all their rights to hosting servers for both Ark Survival Evolved and Ark Survival Ascended over to Nitrado in exchange for a $4 million loan, pushing Snail even further into debt. But then, Ark Survival Ascended launches onto Steam PC. Snail Games boasts that in the first 10 days of sales, it has sold over 600,000 copies, far exceeding their initial expectations and performing much better than Ark Survival Evolved did when it first launched. Again, I saw some irregularities in the reporting and questioned just how well Survival Ascended was selling in a previous video, because if it was selling so well, why were they not paying off their debts? Moving a little bit closer to present day, in a November 30th post, Snail Games reports that they have now sold over 1 million gross units for Ark Survival Ascended when combining the Steam and Xbox versions of the game. Notice I said gross, which is how they have worded it as well, which means based on initial sales, not including refunds and such. And the sales number does not include the largest cross-section of players on the planet, PlayStation. And so, yeah, those are impressive numbers for sure, but again, if they are selling that well, why is Snail Games taking out another $5 million equity line of credit at the rate of 7.5% interest? You see, those two don't line up. On one hand, you've got Snail Games boasting about these huge sales figures, but then we can see through their public SEC filings that they are still in debt and borrowing even more money. Which brings us to a statement made during this past weekend's live stream by Jeremey Stieglitz, where he essentially responds to chat stating that, and I'm going to be paraphrasing quite a bit here, these paid expansions will allow Studio Wildcard to have their entire development team working on Ark Survival Ascended indefinitely, and that Wildcard wants Ark Survival Ascended to be the base or kind of the platform for the future of Ark moving forwards. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, and again, graphics incoming and some time jumping, but we now see this amended timeline for Ark Survival Ascended, originally said to be done releasing in late 2024, now with this infographic pushed well into 2025. We've also seen delay after delay for Ark II, with the last date said to be in late 2024 or even into spring 2025 if you believe the statement made by Digital Domain. And you can immediately see the issues here, as you've got a pretty hefty overlap of release dates, and unless the studio takes on a huge amount of extra staff, which they don't seem to have the funds for, I just don't see Wildcard able to simultaneously complete Ark Survival Ascended while developing Ark II, which is said to be a completely new Souls-like Ark experience, all set in Unreal Engine 5. So again, a quick recap here for you. Number one, we've got Snail Games, Ark's publisher, who is completely reliant on Ark's success. They're still in debt, and again, borrowing another large sum of money, all while simultaneously bragging about Ark Survival Ascended and just how well it's selling. We also have ASA itself, which was revealed to be needed in order to crowdfund Ark II. and it's possibly not selling as well as expected. We also have these new paid expansions being unveiled for each of Ark's DLCs, with a complete branding shift of now allowing all of Studio Wildcard to develop Ark Survival Ascended, and it being the future for Ark, not Ark II. And possibly completely unrelated here, you've got Doug Kennedy, CEO and co-founder of Studio Wildcard, advertising a game for sale over on LinkedIn, and it's a first-person shooter built in Unreal Engine 5 for both PvP and PvE, PC and console, with crossplay and full mod support. Sound familiar? And all he's looking for is a reasonable revenue share. Could they be looking to offload whatever they already have cooked up for Ark II to someone else in order to make some extra cash? I honestly don't know. Anything's possible here, but with everything I'm currently seeing, those live stream statements, paid expansion packs, ASA sales when compared to what was needed, along with Snail Games, again, borrowing even more money, this all leads me to the conclusion that Ark II has been canned. As always, leave me any feedback concerning Ark, and I will do my best to respond. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are greatly appreciated. All my socials can be found in the video description. Shout out to the nearly 182,000 of you that tune in daily and support my content. And a special thanks goes out to my Patreon supporters and to those of you firing over those much appreciated YouTube super chats. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.